Hi Nourished friends, Sally here with Nourished Roots Nutrition. I'm so glad that you've joined me for this week's Food Fact Friday. Last week I talked about why I sprout beans, and this week I'm going to talk about how I sprout them. It seems like it could be an overwhelming process, but I promise you it's not. It's really simple. All you need to begin with is some dried beans. So you don't want to use canned beans, that's not going to work, but dried beans that haven't been cooked yet are going to work, and you want to make sure that they're kind of fresh. Older beans might not sprout, so a fresher bean is better. You're also going to need a bowl to soak your beans, a strainer, and then a cheesecloth, which is just a really thin piece of cloth that allows light to get in but doesn't allow debris to fall into your beans. As an alternative to a cheesecloth, you can also buy a sprouting jar. I just don't have one, and this seems simple to me. To begin with, you're going to start with soaking your beans. So you do that overnight, 8 to 12 hours. All you need is some water on top of your beans in a bowl that gives them space to grow. They are going to double in size, so you want to make sure that the bowl is big enough and that the water comes about 1 to 2 inches above the beans so that there's enough water for those beans to soak. After that's done, and I mentioned I do that overnight, you can also do that before you leave for work or school. So any 8 to 12 hour span, you don't have to be there. It's really simple. The next thing you're going to do is strain those beans. So I'm going to put my strainer into the sink and just really simply strain my beans, rinse them with some fresh water. You want to make sure that during this process you're using all clean equipment and your hands are clean, because the same conditions that are good for sprouting also can grow bacteria. So it's always important to have the environment be clean as possible. And then I want to point out that you don't want your beans to be in a pile. You really want a lot of surface area. So I'm just going to use my hand to kind of spread the beans out into one thin layer so that they all have access to the air. Now I'm going to put these to the side. I'm going to cover them with my cheesecloth, and I'm going to let that sit for about 12 hours. Every 12 hours I want to rinse my beans and do the same process. You want to make sure also that this bowl, this strainer, is in front of light. So near a window or sunlight. The warmer the environment, the faster they're going to sprout. So it's always a good idea to kind of chase the light. You know, maybe on one side of your house it's brighter in the morning and one side of the house it's brighter in the afternoon. Or you can just leave it and set it and forget it type of thing and rinse it every 12 hours. After that's done and you begin to see a sprout, it's not going to be that big. It's just going to be about maybe a ½ an inch or so of a sprout. You can then boil your beans and begin to cook them like you would normally. I hope that you feel inspired and you learned something new. And if you decide that you want to sprout your beans, show me a picture. I would love to see how they came out. Take care and have a great weekend. See you next Friday.